you were good morning, sir, and you were
Morning.
on deck there listening to what I was just talking about. And you've been in the business a long time, like I have. And Mario Cristobal is in the middle of trying to turn things around.
Yeah.
And I try to tell people that here at the University of Miami, the problem has not been talent, because there are still players that get through the program, not as many as they used to be, and are still latching on to the NFL. But it's more really about finding the right players with the right character, not just talent. You and I have been around this a lot, that we've run into players that we all know could have been Pro Bowlers, Hall of Famers, but they went right out of the league because they just didn't have the mental side of everything in order to compete and to be successful.
Yeah, and I think it's really hard. And a couple of things. First of all, when you're building a program and you are when you're building a program and you're trying to get the right kind of guys, trying to get the right character, trying to make sure everyone's kind of pushing in the right direction. First of all, it's really hard. So it's not just finding talented players, it's finding talented players who continue to work through not winning as much as you want, the kind of adversity that these guys in high school are not used to. That is really difficult. And, when you make it through the other end, it's all worth it. Like I was there at Alabama, and obviously Alabama's a juggernaut now. But when I was there, they were 6-7 and 7-6, I believe. Either way, they went to two straight. It's the Shreveport Bowl. I think it was the Independence Bowl, right? Yeah, the Independence Bowl.
Yeah.
And then they came out of it. They went 10-0 and then finished 10-2. But watching the struggles, watching them go through it, watching them weed out players who just weren't right for it, like that's a fascinating process, and it's very difficult. And that's why, you see most schools, unfortunately, who are trying to make it through, they don't. Like, how many times have we said about Notre Dame, are they back? Texas, are they back? Like, to get fully back, it takes some special stuff, and not everybody has that.
Tennessee has made their way back from hell after Philip Fulmer.
They have,
And you know what I tell Canes fans is, you have something to look forward to. Mario recruited Javon Holland, who's already a leader on this team in his second
He's
year.
great.
Kayvon Thibodeau has shown a lot of maturity over there with the Giants. And then you have Penei Sewell, with the Lions. So that's what you have to look forward to. He will find those kind of quality individuals, and then that's how you're going to end up rebuilding it. It's not just great talents. It's also, individuals that understand what they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? So I think that's kind of the mix, and you just got to be patient. All right. So let me ask you, there isn't a lot of patience in Patriot land, my brother. I mean, somebody tell them that when you have 5 quarterbacks, you have none. Boy, they threw Mac Jones to the side of the road with a quickness that reminded me a lot of Brian Flores and Tua. I gotta say, it just, woo, that was weird. What's going on there in Patriot land now?
Well, I'm not sure they've thrown Mac to the side just yet, because I was actually there for a couple of different reasons, but I was in New England watching the game on Monday, and it was a crazy atmosphere because, Mac goes in the first couple of series, and, there's a kind of a near miss down the sideline, and then there's, one bad interception, and the crowd is chanting Zappy, Zappy, and it's a really charged environment, and it's tough for anyone. They put Zappy in, he leads a couple of touchdown drives, the excitement is crazy, and everyone knows this is the quarterback for the future. But then, those 2 picks, gets 4 balls tipped, it didn't look great in the second half, and it was kind of all right, what actually are we watching? I was told all throughout there was no quarterback controversy. Mac did start. I wouldn't be surprised if they went back to him. It's hard, though, because at some point he has to snap out of this. He has to have success. It feels like to me that still he's going to be given the benefit of the doubt. But at some point you got to perform. So, I wouldn't say they're throwing him to the side just yet. I just think they're still trying to figure out how to actually navigate this and how to get the best out of either him, more probably, or Bailey Zappi, and kind of move forward with this thing.
Well, the one thing that I've noticed from Mac since he started, he's still conservative at his core. He's not a guy that really opens it up enough and takes some chances. Whereas I think Bailey Zappi comes in Not that either guy has ever convinced me that they're franchise quarterbacks, but Zappy will play with a little more moxie. He will take some chances. Now it might be a little more dangerous, but he will take some chances. And in this league, if there's not an aggressive nature to you, you're going to get run over because this is, dude, this is not the 90s, bro. That was a different football in the 90s. This is not the 90s. You got to score points.
Yeah, but the problem is, Mac really has had his moments where he's taken some chances, but that's led to some interceptions. I mean, that's the issue. It's not that, Bailey Zappi takes more chances. I think they both do. Zappi just keeps the ball away from the other team. I mean, some of the throws he made on Monday night, there was a deep one to, I think it was Jacoby Myers, right down by the goal line. And the only two options on the play were Myers comes down with it or nobody comes down with it. That was a good risk.
That's fine.
Mac's risk was, I think he was trying to throw the ball away, actually. But
and the other one to Devontae Parker is a good risk because Devontae Parker is a winner when it comes to 50-50 balls. It's not 50-50 when you throw it to Devontae Parker. It's really more 75-25 when you throw it to Devontae Parker. And those kind of plays, that's his game right there.
Right. And so, that's the problem is like Mac has taken chances, but he's been burned on it. So then it's like, well, he goes back to being more conservative. But then they defend that. So, I don't know which way they're going to go. It's as weird a quarterback situation as I could remember in New England. I'm sure, again, like I always say with the Patriots, I'm sure in the end they will be fine, but they need to figure this out sooner rather than later because I know this is driving Belichick crazy to have this quarterback controversy and the whole world talking about it.
And by the way, word has it that I don't even know if it's true or not, but apparently the owner is a big Zappy guy. Is that true? Kraft is a big Zappy guy.
I don't know. I mean, I don't love those kinds of stories because the reality is nobody actually knows. What is the owner a fan of? Winning football games would be my guess. So I'm sure he liked when Bailey Zappi. Yes, he does like Tom Brady. But I don't love those kinds of things because every owner just wants to win. So like, did Kraft like Bailey Zappi coming in as the backup unheralded guy and winning a couple of games? Like, yeah, I would say he probably liked that, but he wants what's best for his football team. The real issue is we don't know which quarterback that is just yet.
Yeah. Big fan of Kraft, man. He is such a philanthropist. Man, that guy, every chance he gets to do something good, he does that. I know we're supposed to hate him down here and all that, but I got to give him credit. He does a lot of good stuff for people that really need it. So much props to him in that sense. His heart is in the right place. All right, Packers, Rodgers ripping everybody, coach, everything. Is it panic time in Green Bay? A couple of years ago, he told everybody to relax, and they came back. What are you seeing now?
Not telling everyone to relax this time. It's more like, ramp it up. I don't even know that he's ripping everyone. I think he's just telling what's happening, which is more, if he was just ripping everyone, that would be, okay. But you'd be like, oh, well, Rodgers is being a jerk. He's not being a jerk. He's just saying what the reality is, which is way more sort of damaging and problematic, right? And, the whole Packers season was predicated on them getting the development out of these young receivers to where they would get to a point where like they're on the same page. They can adapt to him. He can adapt to them. Everyone's good. And we're not there yet. And the season's almost halfway over and we're just not there yet. So, there is a possibility that they'll be okay. But like, it's one of those things where, if you have good teams in your division, like this thing might get away from you. You gotta figure it out fast. And I think that's why you could tell he's like kind of pushing and pushing and pushing, because he knows the urgency here.
Trading deadline, my brother. I talked to some people last week. I have not followed up this week. They kind of felt that they needed another week for losses and that kind of stuff. So where are we now leading up to the trading deadline? Because I'd like to see the Dolphins try to make a move. They're down to like their 7th and 8th cornerbacks. So, and they just lost Brandon Jones, who I think is irreplaceable. Okay, really, I don't know if they have anybody on the team. So corner, safety, maybe even a pass rusher, a Quinn out of Chicago if he's available. So talk to me. What are we hearing? What's the buzz in Tradeville, if there's any?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the problem with Robert Quinn is the Bears won,
I know.
and Justin Fields looked good. So it's like, all
I know.
right, well, if that's the case, God, maybe they win again. And I don't know. And so the Bears are one of a couple teams where you're like, if they win, then that will dictate things one way. If they lose, it'll dictate things the other way. The Browns I'd kind of put in the same category, right? Um, so this is why when you talk to GMs, like they would like the trade deadline to be a little later, so it could be more defined who's good and who isn't, and that's kind of part of the problem. But it is what it is. So we're here now. So to answer your question, like I think there'll be some deals. There's not a ton of like really good game changers available. If the Broncos lose, could Bradley Chubb be traded? Possible. I certainly think
Wow.
that's something to keep an eye on. Jerry
That'll bring
Judy
a
is
lot.
another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at more than a first round pick probably. I mean, that's what these premium players get. And, if there's one thing we saw in the Christian McCaffrey trade, which we've seen over and over, but it's that people pay for premium talent. And so like let's just say you're the Dolphins and you want a pass rusher named Bradley Chubb, like it's really going to cost you. On the other hand, you get a good young pass rusher in his prime, like those are hard to find too.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And it looked like the Carolina thing because I had fans telling me, "Oh, go call for Brian Burns." I'm like, nobody has said he's available. Nobody like yourself or someone of your
Yeah.
nature is reporting that he's available. And sure enough, Carolina came out and said, "We're not trading anybody." And to me, it was pretty obvious that Carolina likes the guys that they have. They just traded McCaffrey because he's so injury prone. That was a smart move. Personally, I think San
Well,
Francisco gave
and
up way too much for him, but whatever. That's just me.
yeah, and $12 million next year for a running back. If the Panthers are rebuilding, like that's not great money. So, but yes, it was a lot for the 49ers. Absolutely a lot. If they
Oof.
get into the
Wow.
playoffs, if they get to the Super Bowl, it's all worth it. If they
Yes,
don't, but if they don't, literally anything they paid would be too much. You know what I mean?
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. A story that is now starting to gain some traction is Justin Herbert. I've been talking about this for well over a year. I have thought that the praise has been just way over the top. A lot of
Mhm.
stats. I don't see a lot of big wins. I don't see a lot of big comebacks. I don't see that in his entire career, Oregon or here, to be quite honest with you. He has a losing record as a starter. So to me, are people starting to realize that, yeah, he's got a lot of talent. Nobody can argue that. But the praise, like I had one of our guys, go say, well, no, you got to be great like Justin Herbert when he was talking about two. I go and I ripped right into him because nothing about Justin Herbert outside of his talent is great. He hasn't proven jack shit to be great. So I'm just wondering, are people now catching up? Do you feel that he was a little overrated because he really has not accomplished the kind of W's that makes you great in this league? Not
I mean, he's
stats.
definitely had some great moments, a lot of really, really good moments. But you're right, like to be what he has been talked about as being, to be one of the next great ones, to be one of the super, super rich quarterbacks. Like you got to do it week in and week out, and you got to have your moments and you got to have your comebacks. And like, you got to get where Joe Burrow is, which is
They don't
every time you
exist.
touch the ball, everyone's like, could score a touchdown right now.
Right.
Now, hasn't had Keenan Allen out there, probably not going to have Mike Williams this week. So there's some things. I get it. But you're right. I
Oh,
mean, he
that's
needs
hilarious. That's hilarious because for 2 years, Tua didn't have jack shit. And everybody killed Tua when he didn't have a line, a running game, and even receivers last year. He had Waddle and
right, but that
nothing
wasn't fair. But that wasn't fair either.
else.
You
Right?
know.
That's my point. That's my
Um,
point.
but so
That
to answer
people
your
killed
question, like,
Tua, and I tried to
yeah,
defend Tua for 2 years. That he had nothing. Now he
right,
gets McDaniels and weapons, and he's one of the better QBs in the league. Funny, hilarious.
right, right,
You know.
and oh yeah, no doubt about it. And I think for Justin Herbert, like to answer your question, like he's got to do it. Like at some point, he needs to be the one to step up and play like he's capable of and be one of the guys, be one of the great young quarterbacks that we all think. So I don't know if he's overrated or underrated or what, but his team he needs to be the one to lead this thing.
Yeah, he needs to become a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
That's not what he's become
Yep.
yet so far. All right, follow him on Twitter at Rapsheet. Catches exceptional work always at the NFL Network. I love that thing you guys. What's that thing you guys do on? Was it Fridays, right? When all three of you sit around and you do like a little round table.
We do. We have it 3 times a week, as a matter of fact.
I know, but I watch it. I watch the main one that I watch all the time is your Friday one, right?
I appreciate that. Yeah. So it's called The Insiders. It's on YouTube and it's on the Fast networks, and it honestly is a lot of fun. So I appreciate you saying that.
I enjoyed the one a couple of weeks ago when you were busting Garofalo's balls. Now that to me,
that's most of it.
But that exactly. That's my point. That keep busting Garofalo's balls, okay? Because that's good material right there.
Absolutely, I promise I'll.
All right, my brother. I appreciate you. We will catch up next week, my friend.
Look forward to it.
You got it. There you go. Ian Rapoport and our redrecover.com look around the NFL.
This is the Big O Show.